Hey, my name's Ed, welcome to my channel. I make, modify and mend things, and this week I'm going to be making a kitchen, or at least the skeleton of a kitchen anyway, in my 43-foot narrowboat Joshua. For anyone that's been watching my series about refitting this boat, if you've seen the last episode you would have seen me build the framework for the rooms. And I want to get the framework in for the kitchen as well, because it will give me a really good kind of idea of the layout, and it will mean I know where I can route all my plumbing pipes and stuff. But before I started doing that, I needed to build this wall, which is something I've been kind of dreading for a long time, because when I did the walls at either end of the boat, it took so long to cut the actual shape and then trim it back and adjust it so it fitted nicely. So I haven't really been looking forward to doing this, because I knew it was going to take a long time and it was going to be really fiddly. So I've gone ahead and done this off camera, because this is basically a day's work for me. I don't know how long it normally takes people, but for me, to get it fitting how I like it, this took me a whole day yesterday. So this is done now. It would have been really boring to watch as well, so I didn't film it. I'm pretty happy with the fit. There is a tiny little gap up in the top corner. It's about 1 millimetre, which I was tempted to try and improve, but I didn't want to then ruin the rest of the fit. But it's right up in the top corner as well. And this is where my cooker's going to be, so there might even be tiles or something here. So now I've got this one fitting well, it means I can build out from this wall. Because my kitchen is going to come right up to here. So the next stage is to start building the carcasses for the cupboards. I watch quite a lot of woodworking YouTubers, and when I first started watching them, I used to get quite annoyed because they would have these beautiful 3D models in SolidWorks or Fusion 360 or some kind of 3D software package, and they look beautiful, and you think they can't be good at everything. And full disclosure, I used to be a draftsman's mate. I did my apprenticeship in engineering, and I worked in the design office while I was an apprentice. And I used to do 2D CAD drawings all the time. I used to work at a railway signal company. So we would make a lot of sheet metal parts and like stamped parts and stuff like that. So I can do engineering drawing in 2D, absolutely fine. And I'm reasonably comfortable around AutoCAD. However, that was over 20 years ago now. And we had one license for SolidWorks, which is a 3D CAD package. And the senior draftsman used that. So I know how to use CAD, I know how to draw an engineering drawing, but I'm not very familiar with 3D packages, so please don't laugh at this drawing. I've got this weird wood effect, which I thought would be a good idea to highlight the parts I need to build, because some of this is just like to help me visualize the space. And so this room here is the toilet, and then this is the shower. I've just drawn sort of like the outlines of the rooms. And I just wanted all that lot to be grey, and the same for the worktop. And then I just wanted this pine effect texture on just the parts that I'm going to be building in this video. But for some reason it's done the worktop and it's done sort of half of this room. I don't really know why, but oh well. It's good. This is good enough. So yeah, this is my idea for the kitchen. You've got this space here, which is for the hob goes in the worktop here, and then I'll have a built-in oven on this cavity here, and then this is going to be, and I'm not very good at controlling this orbit either, it sort of goes a bit skewiff all the time. So and then so my sink is going to go here. I was going to draw that, but that's beyond my level of competence in this package. So yeah, my sink goes there. This is the cupboard under the sink, and actually the basin sort of extends beyond this cupboard, so I'm going to have to cut a strange little cutout in here, but that's fine. And then the main reason I wanted to draw this is because of this corner cupboard here. I've got this unusable, or I had before in the old layout, there was a square cupboard in this corner which was completely closed off to the kitchen, and I would rather have it accessible from the kitchen because it's much more useful as kitchen storage. There was a door in this side, which was actually in the living room before, and my sofa came up to here, so you'd have to move the sofa out just to get in that cupboard, and it was really awkward and clunky. And yeah, as I say, it'd be much more usable space if it was accessible from the kitchen. So I've drawn it like this, and my plan is to have a bifold door in the corner. So it'll probably hinge from here, and then there's a handle here, and then when you open it, it just kind of hinges back on itself to get in. But potentially this entrance is going to be too narrow for how deep the cupboard is. So I wanted to draw it, and then I've got a narrow cupboard here on the end. And I think that looks okay, to be honest. That looks all right. If I spin around here, what happened there? If I spin around here, you can see it's actually a really good space. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it'd be really nice to have this much space, because this is actually space I will have gained in the kitchen, which is really nice. So yeah, I drew this mainly to get my cut list, because as you can see, these three pieces have an angle on the back so that it marries up with the wall of the boat, which isn't vertical. It's actually got that angle on it. And also the difference between the end where it butts up to the bathroom and this end where it stops in the living room, there is actually a height difference, and I'm not sure if that's because of the floor or the gunnel, but I want to have the worktop uniform where it joins to the wall at the back. So I wanted to be able to cut the difference in height on these when I first make them, rather than make them all the same and then trim them. I thought it'd be more accurate to kind of get those dimensions by doing a drawing. So I've done this, and it is crude, like I say, and I'm not very good at using this package, clearly. But it's done the job, and it's given me a cut list. So let's get to the workshop and start making these cabinets. Right, I've made quite a lot of the parts now, so I'm going to do a quick rough assembly just to kind of see what it's looking like. Oh my god. Okay, that was a bit awkward, but I've kind of roughly got it assembled. Obviously, I've not cut all the pieces yet. I've got all these uprights, like the cupboard walls, done. There's the fourth one, which goes on this end, which is going to be sort of the end of the island, or the breakfast bar, whatever you want to call it. And then the cooker goes in this space, and I wasn't going to have another wall because this is going to be up against the wall of the toilet. So the plan is the cooker goes in here, and then I'll probably just put a batten along the wall to support the worktop on the end, and any cupboard no, I won't have a cupboard door there. I'll have an oven there. So, yeah. So I wasn't going to cut an end piece for this because that is the wall that exists. And then this large piece here is the back, which goes along this side of the breakfast bar and forms part of the living room interior, I guess. And I'm quite glad I did this because I couldn't really picture in my mind how big this opening was going to be for the corner cupboard. So now I've got this in front of me in 3D space. This cupboard doesn't look like such a good idea. I mean, obviously I had measurements on my drawings, but I find it really difficult to tell what things are going to be like until I've got them in front of me. And now I've got it in front of me, it looks like that is going to be really awkward to get into, especially if there's a worktop here. I don't know how I'm going to really get... It's going to be so awkward to get to the back of this cupboard. And I wanted it accessible from the kitchen. It's a really large cupboard space. And I really wanted it to be accessible from the kitchen. But it might be more practical to access it from the living room, which I didn't want to do because that's how it was before on the old layout, and I never used that cupboard for anything because it was just annoying to get to. If it's got kitchen stuff in and you have to walk out of the kitchen to come around and get it, that's not practical. There's nothing I store in the living room that needs to be in a cupboard, really. And I ended up just keeping bedding in it before, but I don't have really any spare bedding anymore. I just had like old quilts that came with the boat, which I've binned. I mean, I'm sure I'd find something to put in it, but I want the space to be usable for the kitchen. But I don't... Oh. So I've made the kitchen with these as kind of like supports. So these will be screwed down to the floor, and then everything fixes to them. So I've made little cutouts in the panels, and those timbers fit through. Oh, my sink is filthy. It's just been in storage for months. So yeah, I don't really know if that's the proper way to do it, but that's the way I've decided to do it. Just so it's fixed to the interior of the boat firmly. And yeah, I don't know what to do about this corner cupboard. I think I'm going to have a cup of tea and think about it. Well, I've got a cup of tea, and I still don't know what to do about this corner cupboard. I could move this wall to here, chop this wing off, do the same on this side, move this wall in, and then just have a corner cupboard accessible from the living room, make the cupboard under the sink bigger, and then the cupboard under the end of the breakfast bar bigger. But then I'm wasting a lot of material because I've already cut this. I'm thinking I could also lose this one, or rather make this cupboard accessible from this cupboard. So cut this wing off, bring this wall into what it will be the corner, and then yeah, lose this wall and have a full-size cupboard here under the end of the breakfast bar with this portion accessible from the end of this one. But that's also kind of awkward, I think. That's probably just as awkward as this. Oh, but whatever I do, I need to make a decision now because I need to do something. I just need to make it. I've already wasted quite a lot of material on this kitchen because I cut some stuff wrong. I cut some dimensions a bit too short and I wasn't happy with it. And I've got lots of sort of small offcuts. I mean, I might be able to use them for something, but this stuff is quite, well, it's not mega expensive, but I can't afford to just pay 40 quid for another sheet because I've changed my mind. Oh, I've got to cut this piece up, I think. I don't want a cupboard door in the living room though, that's the thing. I really don't want a door in the living room. That's just going to look weird. I never used it before because my sofa was in the way and I'm not going to have a sofa. Right, I've decided what I'm going to do. I need to do something. I've decided to just chop the wings off of this board, make a full-size cupboard this side, make a normal size cupboard under the sink. I was going to have to cut some weird like shape in this board to get the sink through it anyway. But by moving this cupboard wall to the edge and making this cupboard a square in the corner that you can't get to from the kitchen but you can get to from the living room, it means I don't have to faff around cutting this into the sink or anything. And I'm just going to have a cupboard that I can't use from the kitchen, I think. Ugh, I'm not happy about it, but I'm sure I'll get used to it when it's done. Let's get on with it. Right, I've done it. I've chopped down my corner cupboard so that now it's no longer a corner cupboard, it's just a blocked off space in the back of the kitchen. So this is where the kitchen sink is going to be. That's the kitchen sink cupboard. And then this is the cupboard under the breakfast bar. And I'm actually pretty happy with the fit. I've been measuring really carefully and trying to cut really carefully as well. So now this cupboard, where we're standing now, would be in the living room. So this cupboard will be accessible from the living room. It's a really good size, obviously. So it's a shame not to have that in the kitchen, but I will have more space in the cupboard that's on this side, and I will have more space in the cupboard under the sink. So I'll just have to make the best use of those as I can. I don't feel as bad as I thought I would. I do need to adjust this because I've actually, I don't know if you can see that, but I've cut this one ever so slightly higher than these ones to allow for a slight difference in the floor level. And now this wall is further this way. It needs to be a bit shorter. So yeah, I'm going to trim that off. Maybe not now. I'm going to make the other cupboard floors because now these cupboard floors are different sizes. Luckily, I had only cut this one and it was very small. So I now need to make the floor for the cupboard under the sink, the floor for the cupboard under the breakfast bar, and the floor that will eventually support my built-in oven. So I've finished all of these pieces. These are the sides to the cupboards. These are the bases, and I've got some bits that are going to tie the fronts together. On the back, in these, I've cut a rebate in these pieces, in the tops of the sides and in the bottoms of the sides as well, for that CLS stuff that I've been using for the stud work, just to give me something really solid to fix to the boat and then to fix the sides of the cupboards to. But they only go along the back of the cupboards, whereas I need just something to tie them, or rather to space them properly at the front. So I've just cut some strips of ply that's going to do that job. And it'll also give me something to fix the worktop down to once the worktop's eventually on top. I'm going to have to wait until tomorrow to go to the boat with this lot and fit it, but by the power of editing, you lot are going to see it in 3, 2, 1. All right, so I've sort of dry assembled the kitchen cupboards. I didn't film it. I thought I'd spare you another time lapse. And I mean, it feels like quite a big step forward. It also feels like there's a lot less room in here. The way I've done it is the bases of the cupboards kind of push fit into those slots that I routed on the uprights, and they're quite a tight push fit. And I'm wondering how I'm going to fix the cupboards to the floor, because you have to assemble it like this, and you can't just put the uprights in and then put the bases in afterwards. So what I might do is just sand the slots a little bit bigger so that these can slide in once I've put the uprights in, and then that'll allow me to put the sides in and fix them all down and fix them to the floor with little brackets like this, and then put the base, just slide the bases in. But having done this allows me to see where my pipe work needs to go. I'm probably actually going to trim these down a little bit to give me clearance for my gas and water pipes to come through. And yeah, so I think that's the next step. Just make adjustments as necessary. I've taken the kitchen down temporarily so I can get access to behind it, and so I can make some adjustments. And I've started plumbing, which feels really good. So the reason this goes from copper to plastic here is because this is going to be behind the cupboards. So anywhere where you can't see the plumbing, I'm going to do plastic because it's way easier and quicker. And then anything where it is going to be visible, it will be copper. But it will only be visible on this run across the living room under the gunnel. And then again, where it comes out of the wall, this is if my plan goes to plan anyway. And then coming out of the wall and into the water heater. So I'm literally planning on just having two pipes, a hot and a cold, just coming out of the wall and then straight up. So you won't see much copper at all. And everything else is going to be hidden. So this is the cold water in. This T is for the kitchen tap, which is really stupid. I was trying to find a speed fit to a 1/2-inch tap connector, but they don't seem to exist. You can get one to a 3/4 for an appliance such as a washing machine or a dishwasher, but you can't seem to get one of these T-pieces with a 1/2-inch tap connector, which I find really weird. So I'm going to have this T and then a little short piece of hose and then a tap connector, which is really annoying, but oh well, you're not going to see it. And then yeah, it continues along. It comes down behind the cooker, and then it's going to come into the wall here behind the cooker, and then it needs to go behind the wall, well, in the wall, and then down through this batten here, which is all good until it gets to the bottom, where that is the batten, the hardwood floor, the sub base, another batten, and then under the batten there is the steel lintel that goes horizontally across the boat. So I can drill through all those layers of wood, but then the metal is going to be a lot harder. I've just bought a 16mm HSS drill bit because I didn't have a 16mm. So that's the first job, drill through that lot. Right, I just tripped the inverter and it turned the camera off, and I've just lost the clip where I drilled the holes. But I've drilled the holes through the wood using the wood bit, and now I've changed to this brand new 16mm HSS bit that I've just bought. And I'm gonna, well, I've just started, but I'll continue drilling through the plate at the bottom. I'm expecting this to take me ages because I can't get a pilot bit down there because it's too deep. And normally you would drill a pilot hole in a smaller diameter and then work your way up to the finished size. Obviously with this much thickness to go through, I could actually remove this. With this much thickness to go through, I don't have that option. No, I'd have to take that off. Oh yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, I'm actually going to remove this. It's going to make life so much easier. That's better. I can get to that way easier. Right, and my 5mm pilot drill should just about fit down there. So I'm just going to clear the wood out of this one, out of these. Right, I'm down to the metal there now. I might just put a bit of a mark so that my pilot drill's got something to locate on. Okay. Oh yeah, that's better. Much better. There we go, I think. Yeah, that's through, good. Right, and I'm actually going to go up in size slowly, because that's the best way to drill through reasonably thick metal. I've worked my way slowly up to a 13mm bit. It kept tripping the inverter, so it was dumping the clips. So I've lost that footage, but it's boring anyway. I'm just drilling. So I've got a 13mm bit now, and then once I've gone through both sides with this, then I can step up to the 16mm bit to do the final size. Hopefully the inverter doesn't trip out and lose this clip. The inverter did trip out several times, so I haven't got any of me drilling the hole, but that's through up to the final size now. That actually didn't take me as long as I thought it would. So that's the 2 holes done for the pipe work. I'm just going to give this a quick vacuum and clean up all this swarf, and then put the batten back on, and then I can sort of route the plumbing pipe, I think. Cool. Right, I've cleaned up and put it back together, and the pipe fits through really nicely, which is great, but there isn't actually enough space. There's enough space for it for the fittings to fit under, but there isn't enough space to actually get the pipe fitting in them. I don't know if that's fitted properly. It might just about go, but I don't think so. So what I might do is solder up some copper to go through these holes, and then just have a 90-degree copper bend on the bottom, and then go back to plastic as soon as it comes out, because as you can see, they're much more low profile than these quick speed fit ones. So I think that's actually in, but I'm worried I can't get it out again now. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was in properly or not, and you can't see under there to tell. It would be better if I could use the speed fit, because you can take it apart and replace stuff if you need to, whereas I would have to actually solder a piece of copper under here, and then it's locked in forever unless you cut it, which isn't ideal. So I think I can get a plastic one through here, but I'm going to have to do a copper one here. So this one is going to have to be soldered in place, and I'm just going to have to try and solder it without setting fire to anything. Oh, fucking. Right, the solder's flowing there. And the solder's flowing there too. Good. If this does leak, I'll have to cut it off. But, I mean, it looks good to me. The solder's flowed all the way around. I can see that. I don't want to have to do that again on the other side. I'm going to see if I can put a plastic one on the other side. The copper is way lower profile. You can do much tighter turns with it. I do like it for that. So I'm slowly getting on with the plumbing. I've put the kitchen wall back on because I've machined 2 slots to let the pipes through, and I wanted to sort of see how it fit and to get the height for these. And I ended up having to put a copper thing through each hole, because there just isn't enough space for one of these plastic elbows under here. You can't get it fitting in properly, and I think you'd get leaks and stuff. So I've got 2, a copper thing through each. And so this line that is now done is a cold feed. That's the cold feed from the tank at the front of the boat, and that comes via the kitchen for the kitchen cold tap, to here, then that's going to go up for the toilet basin, and then down goes under the floor here, up and into the bottom of the water heater, actually that one. And then that water gets pumped around the heater, heated, comes out of the hot water outlet, will come down under the floor, and then will come to this T-piece, and it goes that way for the shower, and then comes up through here. There's going to be another T-piece here. I can't put a T here, annoyingly, because this gets in the way. So I'm going to have a T here, so I've got a hot feed for the basin in the toilet, and that lower slot there is for the hot feed to the kitchen sink. So I mean, my pipe work should be relatively neat once it's done. When I took this boat apart, there was plumbing everywhere, and like little junctions and stuff that had been added and then removed and capped over, and it was awful. So even though this is quite a lot of junctions, it's going to be neater overall. After a day of fiddling around and taking the kitchen in and out several times, it's in. I'm probably going to have to take it out again to paint it, but for now, it's in and it fits and it's all fixed down and it's solid. This is not secured on yet, but I am going to have to cut a hole in this to put a cupboard door in it for this space anyway. So I'm gonna leave that until it's all painted and stuff. But yeah, for now it's in. I will not tell you how unbelievably fiddly it was been. I had to take it in and out several times, and then when I ran the gas pipe, which you might have noticed has also been added, I had to take it all out again to run that behind, because that was unbelievably fiddly to get that gas pipe in. And I unrolled it off the coil, I straightened it so it was really nice and straight, and then I had to put this bend in it to get it round the framework of the kitchen, and then it's just all wobbly again. So I'm a little bit disappointed with how the gas pipe looks, but you know, considering how fiddly it was, it's not too bad, and the worst of it is inside the cupboards anyway. So yeah, the best thing is that it's in. So I'm going to call it a day for this video. Most of the framework for the kitchen is in, and that's kind of what I wanted to get done. It feels really, really nice to be standing here. When I live here, I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, so it feels nice to be standing here looking down at what will eventually be my breakfast bar and my sink and my cooker. It kind of feels like I'm in the kitchen again, which is nice. So yeah, I've had loads and loads of new subscribers in the last few weeks, so if you're one of those people, massive, massive thank you. If you're not subscribed yet, please consider it. I've got more of my boat project videos up here, and I've got some of my other project videos up here. So I'll let you go away and watch some of those, and I'll see you in the next one.